Okay, secondary schools in the Netherlands will reopen next month. Joining us live from the Netherlands is Malu Francisco with her special guest. Hello, Malu.
Hi, Alma. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And in a short while, we'll be introducing to you somebody from the Netherlands, and we'll get some reactions on the parents' reactions on the students coming back to school. And we'll introduce her later. In the meantime, our students, teachers, and school personnel will get more chances to see one another again as schools, secondary schools reopen next month. And of course, learning from home will now be combined with learning in actual classrooms after 2 months of lockdown. Now, the students and parents are advised to walk their children to school or to cycle and to avoid public transportation as much as possible to avoid overcrowding. However, if they live very far away from the schools, special transport arrangement will be made. Meanwhile, recently, that was 2 weeks ago actually, the reopening of the primary schools here in the Netherlands, including daycare centers. And of course, as students came back to their schools under the new normal, new arrangement. So reduce school frequency, meaning to say instead of meeting 5 days in a row in their school, they're now limited to twice a week and the rest of the days at home. And then the length of stay in the school has been reduced to, let's say, half a day, and the other half is spent learning from home. Markers and symbols have been placed in the schools to emphasize the importance of social distancing and the hygiene practices. So as we mentioned a while ago, Alma, parents' reactions, and you can't blame them. As a mother, when your child goes back to school during the crisis, you are worried. So anxiety has set in, there is fear. And let's find out from a parent who has 2 children. One goes to a daycare center and one is an autistic individual who goes to special school. We're talking about the parent who used to work as a nurse here in the Netherlands, Mrs. Auralyn Finessa Reyes, who comes from Nijmegen in the southeastern part of the Netherlands. Here she is. Hi, Aura.
Hi, good afternoon, Miss Madu, and good evening, everyone. Good evening, Miss Alma.
Hey, Aura, and welcome to the program.
Thank you for inviting. Yeah.
Yes, and I'd like to ask you, tell us about your experience when your kids went back to the daycare and to the special education school after 2 months of lockdown over there.
Okay, this is a very, very difficult decision for us parents, and most especially, we all know the fatality of the coronavirus, that and everybody is not safe, and the number of cases, the number of deaths throughout the world. And as a parents, it sounds like a little bit exaggerated, but I know the feeling of the parents out there who has children going to school. And since the announcement of the government that the school will be reopened, it started to increase my anxiety. I have a sleepless night, and there's a lot of questions coming from my mind. Is the school ready for this pandemic crisis? How the school will be able to prepare for my child? And considering the age of my child, the youngest one is at about 2 years of age, how can you able to instruct her to avoid or to maintain social distancing? And the other one is a 14-year-old child concerning the disability. He is diagnosed with a learning disability. He do not know exactly what is happening outside, what is all about corona, or what are the implications of this, how can he able to maintain social distancing, and most specifically how to wear masks And those are the things that need to be emphasized. And that's brought me a lot of anxiety and confusions. And as a matter of fact, the opening of the daycare center started May 11. And for that reason, we are so hesitated to bring our child to the daycare. So we waited for another week. So we have to look around and what's the situation and how many cases are there. So how the schools are being prepared for this kind of pandemic crisis.
Aura, if I may ask, so how long did you have this kind of feeling, being anxious and being fearful, and how did you overcome that?
Actually, it helps a lot because since the announcement of this school that they were going to open, the communication between me, between my family and the teachers, we have a constant communication, and then they helps me a lot to alleviate my feeling of anxiety. And all of my questions are being asked how to maintain the social distancing. And because of the constant communication, they discuss the policies, the guidelines. They are very strict with the implementation of the guidelines. For example, parents are not allowed inside the school. The taxi of the school bus also not allowed to get inside the school premises. Toilets are being separated for them. There are pick-up time, pick-up point, and also there's guidelines where is the entrance, where is the exit for the children, what are the time for the use of the gym. They divided the time of using the public facilities, for example, the playground, something like that. And beforehand, we discussed it with these experts, with the school, the chances of infecting the child at the age of 0 to 12 is minimal, but still the fear is there. But the chance of infecting other people is minimal. So, but still the precautions are strictly implemented.
Okay.
And I read a lot about the news, and then I check all the data, the graphic from the Research Institute of Netherlands, how many cases per day, and also continuous and communication with somebody, a friend, or old colleagues, how the policies are being implemented. And me personally was able to witness how strict they are in the daycare centrum. You cannot able to bring the child instantly entering the gate. There is a specific line, and you should avoid making contacts with the other parents. So, and then they have to check the temperature, because if their child has a fever or sneeze a lot or flu-like symptoms, definitely you cannot bring your child to the daycare center. So
Okay.
those things help me a lot just to alleviate my anxiety.
Oh.
And now I feel relaxed because the Prime Minister announced that the reopening of the class will start by June 8th. So it has a positive side that it's getting better, that the day structure of my son will be coming back to normal, and there will be a time for me to relax and to energize, and also I have a time to organize things at home.
Okay. Well,
So those are the negative and the positive sides
Yeah.
as a parent like me.
great to hear that, Aura. Well, Alma, before I just come up with my next question, do you have any follow-up?
I know how worried you must be, but how are you making your son feel comfortable during this situation?
For a child with an autism, change in day structure is difficult. That is one of the symptoms or a classic description of an autism child. So just imagine that he stayed at home for 2 months and suddenly going back to school. It's a big change for my son. So beforehand, we decided that we should gradually increase or step-by-step procedure. We started with wearing a mask at home, and then we roam around here outside in the playground wearing the mask, just to make him realize how it feels to wear a mask, and also coming at home, wash your hands, and also taking to the taxi, because you have to wear a mask inside the taxi just to protect yourself. And we started by, for example, instead of 5 days in a week, we started by 2 times per week. So, and then next week, another 2 days, and then on the starting of the class, so it will be from 2 days to 5 days in a week.
Okay.
So something like that. It has to be a gradual, step-by-step procedure, and he is guided by a Pictos. Basically, he's very good with visuals, so he can able to understand easily what is mask, what is hand washing, where is the toilet, something like that. And the problem with my son is that he is unable to express what he feels, because if there's a pain or if he has a fever, something like a fever, it's very difficult for him to verbalize what he feels. And that's also one we are taking into considerations at school. So I am properly guided by the teachers, and I have a continuous appointment with the experts, and through proper information. That is basically most important.
Oh, that's really very important. Yes, you sound like you're so engaged and so involved. And I think that helps your son a lot, who is 14 years old and autistic and is not able to verbalize. Well, Alma, here we've gotten a glimpse of what it is like for a parent of an autistic individual and how involved she is. To think that she has an almost 2-year-old girl and then, of course, an autistic son. But for those who are not familiar with autism, what do you call this, spectrum disorder, or ASD, there are different kinds or degrees. And our son, Ponji, he can function. He's independent. I should say he's baking and so on. His baking is so scheduled strictly. There is a strict schedule, and he doesn't want disorganized things. I've been doing interviews with her because we're doing a special feature on her autistic son. And just so we can all be educated on what autism it is, and that what an autistic individual can do that we, as considered normal, can do. They have special qualities, I tell you, and that's just being organized. Well, I'm hands up.
That's true.
All right. And that's why for Aura, it was so important for the child to go back to school, because the structure of the structured activities. So thank you so much, Aura. And we're just hoping that you'll come back and tell us more about the experience of Ponjing.
Yes.
And so back to you, Alma. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Marilu,
very
Francisco
much,
in the Netherlands.
Aura.
We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Aura, and thank you, Marilu. Thank you so much.